first thing we needed was a name. So we chose a name that was controversial without really being controversial. So that's to say, if you know what the name means, fine, and if you don't, that's fine too. It's a bug, right? You know. So, right, you know, flying around, sting you on the rear. So, after we had a name, we thought, well, we were going to release an independent single, or we were entertaining the idea of releasing an independent single. So we thought, well, we got to do something to make people aware that we got a product on the shelf to be bought. And we never did the single, but we started doing these bizarre things on stage to get attention, because the first time we played a gig live, we drew like 33 people and made $67, right? So we went back to the drawing board for about 2 weeks, and we started doing these things. We started telling people that we were going to do these things. The next time we played somewhere, the place was packed, and we made like about $500. The next time we go, God, we're on the road to riches here now, boy. I'll tell you. Right, really. Wow, here we go. Well, like I said, you get a bunch of gangsters and hoodlums, and you put them together, and you got W.A.S.P. It's a bunch of people that nobody wanted. And you give people like that, right, you give people like that a common cause, our goal to believe in. You've got nitroglycerin wrapped up in a package that says rock and roll on it. So, like I said, we were doing things that we felt came natural, so you can hardly blame some of the things that we were doing. We were just four people going out and having a good time, you know. Some people will do anything for attention, I guess. We got to the point where the women's organizations were giving us a lot of heat. So they said, well, why don't you put a man on the rack? And I says, well, if we put a guy on the rack, then we probably get the gay organizations coming after us. So I says, I know what we'll do. I told Chris, I said, let's get our pants and we'll cut the backside out of them, you know. So two things happened at that point. We used to have about an 80% male audience. We cut the backside out of our trousers. Not only did the women's organization get off our back, because we're now doing something to ourselves, our audience doubled overnight. It's all women out there now. So they were happy, we were happy, everybody's happy.
Meet W.A.S.P. Nice, huh? Nice may not be an appropriate word for this heavy metal group. This is shock rock, folks. W.A.S.P. is very loud and very violent. Gory may be a better description. They are known for throwing raw meat at their fans, or bringing a live rat on stage. Cute? The most amazing thing they've featured is a woman being tortured on stage. It's all fantasy. Some call it electronic vaudeville. Blackie Lawless is W.A.S.P's lead singer and creator.
We're not really trying to project anything. I mean, a lot of people come in and they look at what we're doing and they're trying to see something deep into what we're doing. We're not, this is like a Clockwork Orange. I mean, we're not, it makes totally no sense at all. Rock and roll was meant to be sweaty and smelly. When it stops being sweaty and smelly, it's not rock and roll anymore. There shouldn't have to be a lot of deep thought put into it.
L'Amour in Brooklyn, New York is one of the top heavy metal havens. The night we were there, it was packed with leather and metal fans.
I find the music electrifying. Just gets me totally crazy sometimes.
Why do you like heavy metal? It's the power. The power and the music, the guitars, the drums, the energy from it.
I think what we're doing gets them to the point where it pushes them right to the edge and works out their frustrations. I mean, at least they're not going home and beating up their neighbor or their sister or something like that. People should be glad we're doing this. This is a healthy form of therapy, I really believe.
The Los Angeles group have been banned from a number of British and European cities because of their grisly stage act. As well as mock tortures, they've hurled bloody raw meat at fans, released packs of rats during their gigs, and drank pig's blood live on stage. Their visit to Nottingham will be tame, though. Management at the city's Palais have a written agreement that nothing gory will take place there.
I've had people try to hang me for the things that we're doing. I mean, trying to blame me for perverting the youth or whatever is like blaming Jodie Foster for trying to shoot President Reagan. I'm not going to take that rap. That's by proxy. I mean, I've had people call me the devil. I understand there's some guy out here that's trying to, it's going to start a petition around here as one of the local clergy or something like that. He's calling me the devil. Well, if I'm the devil, you ought to be glad because I'm keeping him in business.
What kind of response have you had from British audiences?
It's been about the same as it has been in America. I mean, this thing was designed to work people up, to work them into a frenzy. It's like a catharsis, what we're creating on stage. It's the type of thing that when you come see it, it'll exhaust you. And people should be glad we're doing it because we're keeping kids from going out and stealing their hubcaps after the show's over.
You don't feel you should justify your act in any way at all?
None whatsoever. This is rock and roll. Rock and roll is meant to be sweaty and smelly. And when it stops being sweaty and smelly, there's no more fun in it. It's no longer rock and roll. This was designed to be fun, nothing more.
I call what we do electric vaudeville, and I don't think we're doing anything that hasn't been done in the last 100 years. We're just taking the same package and wrapping it up a little bit differently. But I think the image has a tendency to put people off somewhat, and you don't hear it a lot on the radio, but yet you come to the concerts and you can't get a ticket, you know, and it's because largely we've taken attention to detail when it comes to the live performance. I mean, I think the records are entities in themselves, and at the end of the day, the tunes are what matters. If you don't have songs, you don't have anything. Yeah. You know, there's an old expression in Hollywood that says you can't hype a bad product. That's not true. You can hype a bad product. You just can't hype it very long. And at the end of the day, if it's not on those grooves, you have nothing. The thing that we did was try to further it visually. I mean, we've taken a lot of elements that have happened in rock before. I don't think there's a lot of people in our market right now that have even heard of people like Screaming Jay Hawkins, right, or Screaming Lord Sutch or Arthur Brown or people like that, which is really where the roots of what we came from, theater rock, comes.
Come in!
I wanna be somebody. Room service?
What took you so long? Give me that stuff here.
There you go.
Yeah.
I thought you said orange just before. Where's
well, the other two under the bed here, so just don't worry about it. Don't get away from there. It's all right.
When you first started this band, when you first got into rock and roll, did you anticipate that so much of the work would involve doing this sort of thing, doing interviews and relating all the private details of your life?
I mean, stop a second. Look at this. You call this work? I mean, you know, was it good for you, baby? It was great for me. I know that, you know.
For the last 10 years, the two of you have been in and out of jail cells, it seems, and you probably picked up a lot of friends on the way. Have you really left them behind in the gutter, or are they still with you to enjoy your success?
No. We've got a guy that we used to play in a band with and sister, and we talk about it from time to time because he's doing quite a long stretch right now.
He started using handguns.
And the thing is, like, he was enormously talented in some ways, but he was he's a very emotional person, you know, and you get carried away and stuff like that. And, like, putting a band like this together is a real fine line of genuine lunacy and some reservation on restraint. You know, because we used to go out and literally play Gladiator every night. We'd go out and just, any excuse to beat up on human flesh, you know, I mean, we'd do it, you know. And I was younger then, you know, and I used to do all kinds of crazy things. And it dawned on me after a while, if I kept doing this, I was going to be dead, you know. So I had to really, and that was after the Dolls. I was 20 when I was in the New York Dolls, which I was in for about 10 minutes. You know, but after that, I was like, this whole period was going on when I was about 22. I was very frustrated, and the thing that I did wrong was I was taking the frustration, not doing what I really wanted to do, which is what we're doing now, and I vented it in other areas, and that's not the way to do it. I mean, the way to do it is to sit and really buckle down, put your nose to the grindstone, whatever cliche you want to use, and to really get down there and do it. And if you're not happy with the work, man, you're in the wrong business. So when I put this band together, I was looking for the closest thing to prison inmates I could find, and I'm here to tell you I found them. I mean, they're in that room in there right now. So when you get together, you find yourself that you're doing things to entertain yourself. That's how the show came about. And it's the kind of thing that it's not everything. The music is first and foremost and will always be the most important thing. But if you're paying in America, what's $10, $12, maybe even $15 for a ticket, I think it's important to give people more than just music. We've got a song called School Days, and it says, I pledge no allegiance. And I was at that point in my life where I didn't want to hear or know from anything. I mean, I go down the street now and I see a school bus drive by and I still get a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach, you know. I mean, you couldn't pay me to go back there again. I think, like I said, as long as you've got that element and people are still making babies, you're going to have rock and roll. Well, when I was putting this band together, what a lot of people don't realize is we had never had any intention of playing live. We all started out, we were studio musicians in Los Angeles, and in a place where 90% of the records in the world that come from, to be a studio musician there, you've got to be, shall we say, better than average to cut it, because if somebody tells you to do something one time, you don't cut it, they're on the phone calling the halls to get somebody else down here. So we had all been in a situation where we had been cooped up. And it's kind of like letting an animal out of a cage. When I put this band together, I was looking for the closest thing to penitentiary inmates I could find. And I'm here to tell you, I found them, you know. You get bored quickly. And when you get bored with yourself, you start doing things on stage to entertain yourself. And when you do that, I mean, what we're doing now, we're blowing people's socks off as it is. If we started doing things to solely entertain ourselves, people just were like, oh, God, you know, like that. Which we've had that happen already. I mean, we just did a world tour where the Catholic Church followed us throughout Europe. So that was different. That's a good word, different. Kept us from being bored. They entertained us quite along. So, you know, different strokes for different folks. This band started as a musical band and will forever be a musical band. It starts with the tunes. The tunes are the most important thing. When you're driving down the street, turn on the radio, we come on the radio. We can't exactly jump out of that speaker onto the dash of your car and start doing the show. I mean, it'd be great if we could, but we can't. State of the art being what it is, maybe 10 years from now you can. But we can't at the present. The tunes must stand. When the smoke clears, literally, at the end of the day, the tunes are the most important thing. Now, we do the show, like I said, we're entertaining ourselves, but we like to think that we're entertaining the rest of the general public at the same time, because if they're going to pay anywhere from $10 to $15 for a ticket, I would think that it would behoove someone to get up there and do the best possible job they can. I mean, I call what we do electric vaudeville. We're not doing things that are tremendously that much different. We're just taking an old tried and true package and we're wrapping it up a little bit differently. The presentation, the way we do it, is a type of theater called psychodrama, which I've since been told is psychotic people doing drama. Let's just say when you put four very colorful characters and you put them together, you usually come up with something that's a little bit out of the normal.